Okay, so we continue reading Bhagavad Gita and we just chanted one round of Maha Mantra, which was amazing. And yes, it's not easy, right? To focus on the sound vibration. Do you know the reason why? So you mentioned that we are focusing on multiple things during the
Yeah.
day, right? And we got a habit. Another reason why is that Maha Mantra belongs to the spiritual world. Okay, it's a spiritual vibration. How often do we experience that spiritual vibration during the day? Not at all, right? Yeah, so we don't have a habit. And actually, our soul vibrates spiritually. Basically, when we chant Maha Mantra, at that moment, we act as a spirit soul. At that moment, we are spirit souls. Can you imagine? At that moment, we are conscious of who we are because we are connected with the vibration that is our vibration, as our true vibration.
Mhm.
And the rest of the world, material world, right, doesn't vibrate
Yeah.
spiritually. Therefore, during the day, we don't act as spirit souls, you know? So if we want to experience spiritual life, we can do it when we chant Maha Mantra. Okay, and at that moment we become. And actually, it is also stated in different scriptures, right, Vedic scriptures, that not only we act as spirit souls, right, we actually start feeling
Mhm.
spiritually. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so amazing. Yeah. Do you feel the difference after chanting one round, before and
Yeah.
after? Yeah. What is the difference?
I feel calmer. Like I feel more at like peace.
You feel more at peace, right?
I feel more concentrated.
You feel more concentrated. Yes. And actually, this is another symptom of purity of the mind. So when the purer the mind, the better it is concentrating. Like the more concentrated it is. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else besides
I think
this?
I feel like more aware after of
More aware.
the moment instead of other things.
Yes. Yes. So you feel the present, right? Be in the present. Yes. Because when we actually vibrate materially, right? We are under the influence of material energies. Who remembers how many are there?
Four? Yeah.
Three.
Three.
Yes. What are the names? How are they called? The first one is the purest. What is the name of it?
Um, Good goodness.
Goodness. Yes. Or sattva guna, right? Sattva.
Mhm.
Yes. So this is the purest, but it's still material
Yeah.
because people, sattva guna basically attracts living entities, right? Um, to the knowledge, but to the material knowledge, such as science, such as medicine. It's all helpful, but still it's not spiritual. And because of this, when people are interested in this and they get connected and that they get attached to it, they have to come back to fulfill their desire. Because, like, for example, if I'm interested in medicine, right, or medical science, I will have to come back to the material world to fulfill my desire.
Yeah.
And since the age, the Kali Yuga, right, it's the age of degradation.
Yeah.
The century after the century, it will be coming less sattva, more what kind of guna after that? What is the other material energy?
Passion and
Passion. Yes, more passion. And the other one, ignorance,
Mhm.
right? So in Bhagavad Gita, it's such a nicely explained in chapter 14. We will get to that about the three modes of material nature. And it is said that three modes of material nature create three psychological conditions. First one creates happiness. Which one do you think?
goodness.
Goodness, right? And it's material happiness because material happiness, it starts and it ends, right? And then the second one creates activity. So people become active. Which one is it?
Passion.
Passion. Yes. And the third one create helplessness.
Ignorance.
Ignorance. Yes. So these are the psychological conditions created by the three modes of material nature. So it's very, very interesting. But when we chant Maha Mantra, imagine we are free from that influence. We're just ourselves and we have a choice where to put our attention, how to focus. It's not that something is making us to think and making us to feel, right? We have actually freedom to choose when we are spiritual. Because otherwise, the modes of material nature choose for us.
Yeah.
Interesting, right? Yes, that's amazing. All right. Okay. So let's go to our reading. Okay. Do you have your books with you?
Yeah.
The forgetful living entities, acquired conditions of relationship. Yeah. So let's read from the book today, the prayers. Let's do the prayers from the book. So today you will be reading by yourself and I will be listening.
Okay.
So you can take turns.
Okay.
So one person will read one prayer and then translation. Second person will read another prayer and then translation. Then, okay, we'll go like that. Perfect.
Okay.
Let's start.
Okay. Is it it's where you were. Oh, here. Yeah. Is it the start on the introduction page?
It's on the introduction. Om Jnana Timirandasya. Yeah.
Okay. Om Gana Timidandasya Ganajana Shalokaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swa Pandantikam.
And yes, and translation. So you read the prayer and translation.
Okay. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet?
Okay. Mhm.
Okay. Did you read up to here?
Yeah.
Okay. Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapada Pada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnava Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Rajan
Rakunatham.
Rakunaham Tam Sajivam Sadvatam Savaduktam Parajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishnukam Cha
Vitamscha.
Vitam Cha.
Mhm.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatana Goswami, as well as Raghunatha Dasa and Raghunatha Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadahara, Srivasa, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and and Vishaka.
Okay.
This one.
Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bando Jagat Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Oh my dear Krishna, ocean of mercy, you're the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You're the master of the coward men and the lover of gopis, especially Srimati Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
Tapta Kanchana Grangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu and you are very dear to Lord Krishna.
Panchakapa Taribhya Cha Kripa Sindhubhaya Eva Cha Patitanam
Patitanam.
Patitanam Bhavan Beo
Pavanebhyo,
Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavye Namo
Vaishnavebhyo,
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Vebhyo,
Vebhyo
Namo Namaha.
Namo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. I offer my obeisances to Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari, and all other in line of devotion.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, so before we start reading Bhagavad Gita, let's give our obeisances to the absolute truth by repeating the mantra 3 times. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, wonderful. So I'll start reading and then we will also take turns, okay? The forgetful living entities or conditioned souls have forgotten their relationship with the Supreme Lord, and they are engrossed in thinking of material activities. So living entities are called forgetful because they are conditioned. What do you think is this conditioning? What is it about? How are they conditioned?
Conditioned by the material aspects.
Yes. So when the living entity, when the soul gets in touch with the material energy, it becomes influenced by the modes of material nature. Okay. And since the material energy is huge, it's the energy of the Lord. And spirit souls, they are small parts and parcels of the Lord, right? Once they get in contact with the material energy, imagine that material energy just captures the soul and the soul becomes influenced. It forgets, basically it forgets about who she or he is, right? The soul, what kind of relationship she or he had with the Lord. And that state when the soul doesn't remember who she is, right, is called conditioned. And therefore it equals to forgetfulness. So forgetful living entity or condition, meaning that under the influence of the modes of material nature, which is goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now the soul has very little choice. If the soul is under the influence of goodness, there is more choice because goodness is pure, right? If the soul is under the influence of passion or ignorance, there is very little choice that the soul can make. Actually, the modes of material nature make the soul obey, okay, the laws of that mode of material nature. All right, and they are engrossed in thinking of material activities. And again, why do you think the conditioned souls are engrossed in thinking of material activities and not spiritual? What is your opinion?
I think because of habit, that's like we get caught up in all the material nature, so we don't really get that chance. Like you were saying, like the only time we're exposed to like that spiritualness is when we pray, and that doesn't happen a lot for many individuals.
Exactly. Yeah. So we actually can think spiritually when we engage ourselves in spiritual activities. But when the spirit soul is under the influence of material energy, which is again huge, right? That's why they can't think of anything else but material activities. Okay? Because this is the functioning of, this is the quality of the material world. Just to transfer their thinking power to the spiritual sky, Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa has given a great number of Vedic literature. First, he divided the Vedas into 4, then he explained them in the Puranas. And for less capable people, he wrote Mahabharata. Are you familiar with Mahabharata?
No.
Oh, this is an amazing, this is the Purana, right? And Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata. So Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So Mahabharata, right? Mahabharata is also the huge war which happened 5,000 years ago. when Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna at the battlefield. Imagine Arjuna is about to fight, and Krishna is giving him the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita because Arjuna becomes overwhelmed with traumatic emotions. Because he at that moment, right, according to the will of the Lord, he doesn't remember who he is and why he's doing that. So the Lord is speaking Bhagavad Gita, and thus he gives that knowledge to him, and through him he gives that knowledge to us. That's why it is said here that Krishna Dvayapayana Vyasa has given a great number of Vedic literature for us so that we can get that thinking power to the spiritual, so we can transfer our thinking power to the spiritual sky, because otherwise we cannot think of anything but material activities. In other words, when we read Vedic literature, such as Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, we also transfer our thinking into the spiritual world. So our mind becomes purified. It's not here at that moment so at the moment, our mind is not here. It's not under the influence of the modes of material nature while we are reading Bhagavad Gita altogether. Okay, so in the Mahabharata, there is given the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita took 45 minutes for the Lord to speak. Can you imagine this knowledge? 45 minutes, and for Arjuna to understand. And here we are spending years, decades, right, to understand and still cannot. Then all Vedic literature is summarized in the Vedanta Sutra, and for future guidance, he gave an actual commentation on the Vedanta Sutra called Srimad Bhagavatam. So the difference between Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is that Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Lord, and Srimad Bhagavatam is about the Lord, his pastimes, and about the devotees of the Lord. It's also about cosmology, physiology, psychology, astrology, and anything else that you need in life is spoken in Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's highly recommended for everyone to read Srimad Bhagavatam to get that, enlightenment, full enlightenment, I would say, from that literature. We must always engage our minds in reading these Vedic literatures, just as materialists engage their mind in reading newspapers, magazines, and so many materialistic literatures. We must transfer our reading to these literatures, which are given to us by Vyasa Deva. And let's quickly compare. If we read newspapers and news, can we get better concentration, calmness, and happiness from that? If we read, did you hear my question? Oh, no.
No, could you repeat it, please?
Yes. So if we read newspapers, magazines, and other literatures besides spiritual ones, right? Mm-hmm. Can we develop better concentration, calmness, happiness from reading newspapers? No. How do we feel?
Probably stressed.
Yes, stressed or it depends, right? Yeah, some articles are not about like bad news, but still, even after reading them, do we feel enlightened, happy, energized?
No, you could feel like a lot of emotions, but maybe even confused or like.
Yeah, sometimes even confused, sometimes like we disagree, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. So those emotions and feelings don't help us actually to live better life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. In that way, it will be possible for us to remember the Supreme Lord at the time of death. So why do you think it is important to remember the Lord at the time of death?
I think if you like remember him at the time of death, like in your next life, you'll like maybe like be able to like be in a position to like develop your like connectivity to him, maybe.
Yes. So whatever state of being, right, we are, at the moment of death, that state of being we will achieve in the next life. So whatever we are thinking when we're leaving the body, that kind of quality of life we're going to have. Imagine if we are thinking of the pig, we will get the body of the pig. If we are thinking of our cat because we love him so much and the cat is coming to our mind, so that's the next destination. Whatever we think about, and usually people think about their loved ones, right?
Yeah.
So about parents or about kids or about husband and wife, and that's why they keep coming as women and men. Some people who are lonely, they may think about their pets, and that's why they can acquire the body, in the next life of that animal. Therefore, it's very, very important for us to develop spiritual thinking because at the time of death, right, it's almost impossible to think, honestly, because thinking process is overwhelmed with other processes.
Yeah.
Yes. But it is also said that in Shisha Upanishad, if we dedicated our life to developing love of Godhead, then Krishna comes himself to remind about himself at the time of death. Even if his devotee forgets, right? He comes himself and reminds about himself. Yeah. That is the only way suggested by Lord, and he guarantees the result. There is no doubt. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yutyacha. Mai arpita mano budhir mam evashyasya sam yaha. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time continue your prescribed duty of fighting with your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. You will attain me without doubt. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text number 7. So Krishna gives us the recipe on how to live in the material world and be spiritual. He says, always think of me in the form of Krishna. There are multiple forms of the Lord, right? But he says in the form of Krishna because Krishna is what?
The supreme form?
The supreme personality. Yes, he's the supreme personality. And then he's saying, while you think of me, at the same time, continue your prescribed duty of fighting. So for us, it's a message, right? While we do whatever we have to do, our prescribed duties, we need to think of the Lord. What happens with our activity when we do it and at the same time think of the Lord? What do you think happens?
It becomes service.
Yeah, it becomes a service. Yes. One thing, it becomes a service. Second thing, our activities become purified. Because not always, people can do good things and think of the Lord, right? I mean, good things in the sense of good for health, good for life, Sometimes people just have habits which are not good for them. So, but still, if they think of the Lord, their activities become purified and their habits become purified and they become, because they get the mercy of the Lord. By thinking, the mind becomes purified. Just imagine if you're thinking about something negative, what happens with the mind?
Becomes negative. Yeah.
What happens?
Then your mind becomes negative and you have doubts or whatever. You
Exactly. Like if you think about something sad, the mind becomes sad. Yes. If you think about something like scary, what happens with the mind?
You become like scared and like
Yeah, full of fears and anxieties, right? Yeah, so whatever we think about, that energy we actually manifest. That's how we vibrate. Because the mind, it can be compared to this magician. It does what it wants, and whatever you give to him, it becomes like this, basically. Yeah. Therefore, if we think of Krishna, what happens with the mind?
you become like more like I think you said purified, like your mind becomes
It becomes spiritual.
yeah.
Yeah, it becomes spiritual. Yeah, it becomes satisfied. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I am the mind, I'm the purity of the mind. So pure mind is Krishna himself. Yeah, it's his manifestation. So when we think of the Lord, mind is automatically satisfied. Yeah. Like look at the Lord, right? If you have the deities of the Lord at your home and you look at them, you become satisfied. That's why people, when they go to the temple, what do? They meditate on the deities. They just
Yeah.
look at them. They stay and look. They don't
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
Yeah, to satisfy the mind. So because the mind becomes purified. And the activities also, if you're doing something which is, we are talking here about prescribed duties, which is not a bad habit, right?
Yeah.
Then that activity becomes also spiritual. Okay. And that becomes a service. So, and then moreover, he's saying, dedicate those activities to me. So with this activity is dedicated to me. So dear Lord, I'm doing this. I have to, yes, I know I have to do my tasks. I have to do my exams. I'm giving it to you. All of the results I'm giving to you. Okay. If somebody says, oh, good for you. Wow, you got good marks.
Hmm.
In your mind, you're gonna say, thanks, dear Lord. It's all because of you. I wouldn't do it without you. Okay. You don't have to say it aloud to the person, right? But in your mind, you're gonna connect the results. And that becomes what? Spiritual.
Yeah.
Okay. Or if somebody is saying, oh, you're so beautiful, la 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 la, and they're like, oh dear Lord, I wouldn't do it without you. Thank you so much for health and beauty. Because Krishna, everything, right? Everything comes from him. And the beauty and happiness and wealth and health, everything. Oh, dear Lord, thank you so much. So by doing so, you dedicate your activities to the Lord and you keep your mind on him and means intelligence fixed on me. How do you understand that? With your activities dedicated to me, we discussed, and your mind and intelligence fixed on me. How do you fix your intelligence on the Lord?
By
What is our intelligence? What does it do?
It's like how the decisions you make and how effective they are, or how like good they are.
Yeah, so it's ability to distinguish between good and bad, useful, not useful, right? Decision making, right and wrong. Intelligence is not about willing, not willing, liking, disliking. It's the mind's activity, right? Intelligence is deciding, okay, dear mind, I know you want so much ice cream, but it's not good for you. This is intelligence. Okay. I know you want to stay late today, but you won't wake up tomorrow, go to bed. This is intelligence. Okay. So Krishna is saying, fix intelligence on me.
Mm.
So make the choices which are favorable for your Krishna consciousness. Oh, I'm not going to do that because it's not favorable for my spirituality. I'm going to be lost and I will put myself under the moat, which will be dominating over my mind. I don't want to do this. This is, fixing your intelligence on the Lord. Because Lord, what does he want from us?
Attention or
What?
like devotion. Devotion.
He doesn't want it. He doesn't need anything, actually. He's self-sufficient.
Like
But
love,
what does he want?
like love.
Yeah, so that we go back to him.
Yeah.
So we remember him because we have eternal relationship with him, but we forgot about it and he didn't. Imagine you love someone and that person forgot about you. That's it. You
Yeah.
had a very strong relationship and now the person doesn't remember you. How would you feel?
Upset.
Very upset. Yes. So the Lord wants us to remember that relationship, to go back to him. Okay. So when we fix our intelligence on him, it means that we are making our choices favorably towards him, right? And whatever is not favorable for our devotional service, for remembering the Lord, for serving him, is a betrayal. So basically, we're not doing this. And then he becomes very happy and he will give us a lot of mercy for this. Okay. So that's why he's saying, you will attain me without doubt. Okay. Imagine you will attain him without doubt. You have any questions about this part? No? Okay. Let's continue. Who's reading next?
Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the
Oh,
form.
no, this one.
Oh,
He
wait,
does
sorry.
not. Uh-huh.
He does not advise Arjuna simply to remember him and give up his occupation. No, the Lord never suggests anything impractical. In this material world, in order to maintain the body, one has to work.
So let's quickly elaborate on this. In the material world, we have to work, which means that we have to use the mode of passion. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Human society is divided according to work into 4 divisions of social order: Brahmana,
Kshatriya.
Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra.
So these social orders that also managed under, they're also under the influence of the modes of material nature. So Brahmanas, they dedicate their life to knowledge. Which mode of the material nature is this?
Goodness.
Goodness, purity, knowledge, cleanliness, it's all goodness. Yes. Kshatriyas, they're responsible for maintaining the law and discipline. They are those who protect the law. Which mode of the material nature is this?
Passion.
Passion, yes, they're more active. So they fight, the discipline, they punish. Now, Vaishyas, they're the ones who are responsible for the economic development and for the protection of the cows. Which mode of the material nature is this?
Passion.
Which one of them?
Did you say protection of what?
They protect the cows and they are responsible for developing economy.
Passion?
It's a combination of passion and ignorance.
Okay.
Okay, because sometimes they lie. So Brahmanas never lie. Kshatriyas also, they're very disciplined. By Vaishyas, they can for the profit. Okay. And then Shudras are the ones who serve all of the rest. Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and Brahmanas. And this is they are in service, so they don't have any specific qualities.
Yeah.
And they are governed by the mode of ignorance. Because if they're not serving, they're degrading.
Okay.
Okay, so they may drink or they may, they're degrading. Yeah. All right, let's continue.
The Brahmana class or intelligent class is working in one way. The
Kshatriya.
Kshatriya or administrative class is working in another way. And the mercantile class and the laborers are all tending to their specific duties. In the human society, whether one is a laborer, merchant, administrator, or farmer, or even if one belongs to the highest class and is a literary man, a scientist, or a theologian, he has to work in order to maintain his exercise. The Lord therefore tells Arjuna that he need not give up his occupation, but while he is engaged in his occupation, he should remember Krishna. If he doesn't practice remembering Krishna while he is struggling for existence, then it will not be possible for him to remember Krishna at the time of death. Lord Chaitanya also advises this. He says, Kirtanya Sada Hari. One should practice chanting the names of the Lord always. The name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. So Lord Krishna's instruction to Arjuna to remember me and Lord Chaitanya's injunction to always chant the names of Lord Krishna are the same instruction.
So for us, it means to remember the Lord, we need to chant Hare Krishna. Okay? And when we chant Hare Krishna, that reminds us of the Lord. Mm-hmm.
There's no in the absolute status.
Yeah. There is no difference.
There's no difference because Krishna and Krishna's name are non-different. In the absolute status, there is no difference between reference and referent. Therefore, we have to practice remembering the Lord always, 24 hours a day, by chanting his names and molding our life's activities in such a way that we can remember him always.
Yeah, what do you think will help us to mold our activities in such a way that we can remember the Lord practically?
I think that you were talking about that habit of whatever we do, our activities to purify them, then we'll always remember the Lord. Mm-hmm. And like they said, your occupation as well. You can still do like what you want to do, like whatever your job is in life, but remembering Krishna at the same time and remembering he's the reason.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Also, we can gratify him, right? Mm-hmm. Show him gratitude. How can we show our gratitude to him? What can we do?
Praying.
Praying. What else?
Service.
Service, yes, yes. And just, during the day, like good things happen, we just remember what is the source of this, right? Or if something we don't like happens, how can we be grateful? Or how can we react in a way to remember the Lord? What should we do?
Mm,
Like knowing that Krishna, even though there are just like challenges in life, he's still looking out for us, and that we can work towards coming back to him, and all our problems are like temporary.
Yeah, so first of all, whatever happens to us is what we have created, right? Because we live in the material world, which is governed by the free modes of material nature, which constitute karma. Spiritual world is karma free. Material world is governed by the free modes of material nature that dictate. Okay. Once the living entity would like to govern something or be the ruler of something, they choose the material world for that, because in the spiritual world they cannot do this. Okay. So we choose to come here to kind of feel that power that we can do something over something. Okay.
Okay.
Therefore, all material world is governed by the law of karma. Whatever happens is under that law. And the creator of that law is who? The Lord himself, because material energy is his energy. Basically, um, some living entities, they choose karma because they want to feel their own power. And some living entities, they choose service because they don't want to have any power. They want to just, serve the Lord. Therefore, how can we actually transform that karma into mercy? That's the question. So if we are into something, that is painful for us, and we understand that this is karma, and we are here experiencing this because we chose some time ago, right? Now, how can we transform it into spiritual activity? Even though the negative event may continue, but we may stop suffering if we transform it into the spiritual activity. How can we do that?
Well, won't like showing your spiritual, like seeking spiritual knowledge for Krishna, won't that also give you good karma, and then eventually you would make it back to the spiritual world?
See, if we engage ourselves in spiritual activities, we are karma free, because spiritual activities are not influenced by the modes of material nature. Okay, they are fully above this, right? But when we are facing some, results which are not satisfying for us, what we can do, we can say, for example, dear Lord, thank you for showing it to me. Now I understand. Like it's like a father, yeah, or mother showing a child, don't do this because this is what's happening. It's like a teaching a lesson, right? So karma is about teaching a lesson. But the living entities who don't want to learn directly from the Lord, they learn from the circumstances, which is karma. Okay. Therefore, how we can stop this karmic cycle is just, remember that who is the ruler? Who is ruling? The Lord is ruling. I'm not ruling. That stops actually the karma.
Okay.
Okay. And the secondly, thank you, dear Lord, for giving me the lesson and trying your best to understand the lesson. And once we understand the lesson, what happens? We can be thankful for that because we become free from the reactions. Okay. Do you think it's easy or no? No. Yeah. Especially if it's related to some very strong attachments, right? But again, that's the way for us to transform our karma, into spiritual activity. All right. So we stop here. Let's quickly summarize what you've learned today.
I learned the four, I think they're the four modes associated with the modes of material nature.
Society, that one?
Yeah.
Three modes of material nature. Uh-huh. And what is your reflection on that?
Wait, it's not the three, it's
The society, right?
the society that's
Is
associated.
divided.
Oh, the society. Uh-huh. Okay. And what did inspire you about that knowledge?
Um, it's I think it was just kind of like broke down like how like different like how they connect to the material modes of nature, like how like intelligence connects to the mode of goodness, and then
Hmm.
like economy both, right? It was both
Yeah.
passion
And ignorance.
and ignorance, yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Okay. Okay, that's nice.
I
Anything else?
learned I learned like that if we think of Krishna in our final moments, that we have like no doubt chance to go back to him. And I think like whenever we'd see like an animal who's like passed away on the road or something, like our dad would always tell us to like say a prayer to it. And I think that kind of connects to this of like that idea of like remembering the Lord in your last moments gives you a chance to go back to him.
Mhm.
Yes, this is a very good point with the animal who is leaving the body, right? Actually, when we chant Maha Mantra to someone who is leaving the body, it can even an ant, right? It can even an insect. If
Yeah.
you chant Maha Mantra, because the spirit soul is the same, it's just the body is different. Okay, if you chant Maha Mantra when you see someone is leaving the body, that soul will have a chance to, well, not from the ant to spiritual world, but
Yeah.
to, evolve into
Yeah.
something, yeah. So it's a very good point. Yeah. And another point that you make that I really like is that whatever we attach to, that kind of life we're gonna get. If we're too much attached to the past, right? That's what
Yeah.
that kind of life quality we're gonna have if we think about the past at the time of death. So we need to be careful with our attachments.
Yeah.
So that's why Krishna is saying, fix your intelligence on me.
Yeah.
So in other words, choose what are you choosing actually. Choose your
Yeah.
choices
Yeah.
with intelligence. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you. And you, anything to share?
I learned that like in that you need to like chant every day to like for the Lord to like remember.
I didn't hear. Could you please repeat
Like,
a little
Um,
bit louder?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll move it closer. Yeah.
like in order to like remember the Lord, you need to chant every day and like mold your life with like activities.
Dedicate the activities to the Lord, right? And yeah, and that will become service. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure for me to have a lesson with you today,
Thank you.
and we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good
Okay,
Bye.
day.
Hare Krishna.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.